this is more for me just to keep me on track and just as a visual so that we have something to look at. Most everybody here was here last week, right? Was there anybody not here last week? I forget. Jeff wasn't here last week. So let's kind of just do a quick review, just because in case, we missed something and that kind of thing. So for like a LinkedIn funnel, I mean, there's not really a lot of info that LinkedIn will give you if you're going to be doing organic outreach. So you kind of just have to take best practice from funnels in general, right? And kind of do it like a layer over on LinkedIn. And I kind of think chronologically. So in my mind, like if the destination is you get a sale, the agreement is like signed by the person that you've been talking to at that company on LinkedIn. Working backwards, in my mind, it's what do you do before you connect? What do you do at the connect? Once you're connected, what does that relationship look like? What does the messaging look like? What does staying top of mind look like? What does figuring out where they're at in the sales funnel look like? All that stuff, what does that look like? And then unto the close. And so last week, we kind of just talked about a bunch of stuff that you can do really up until connecting, right? That's about where we dropped off, is sending the connection request message. So there are a few places where you could, actually, like pre-connect engagement, right? You could, I'm not saying you should, I'm saying you could try to send them an email beforehand, right? You could try to ping their work email from their first name, last name, company domain. You could do that. You could hop over to Twitter. So you could do omni-channel stuff. You could hop over to Twitter, follow them on Twitter, message them on Twitter, like some of their stuff. You could go over some of their recent activity, articles, posts, polls, whatever, and engage with that. View their profile. And it's all kind of just like priming the pump, where they're seeing your face, they're seeing your name, they're getting more familiar with you. It can be helpful. You could send an InMail if that's an appropriate scenario. Then you send, actually, hey, let me just pause there, because that's about where we got. Any other thoughts, ideas, strategies there?
Facebook.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You could go to Facebook. You could find them on Facebook.
Yeah, what I do is I'll follow them on, well, once again, Instagram. I'm a big Instagram person, but I'll follow them on Instagram, and then I'll send them a message saying I'm following you, and then I'll go into LinkedIn and then send them a message through LinkedIn also. I do the Business Unusual. That's a LinkedIn kind of podcast, a daily podcast, and I'll see who's talking that day, and then I'll send them a pre-invite saying I'm going to see you on Tuesday, looking forward to it, to get their interest. And then I follow who is commenting on the podcast, and then post something and see who connects with me, and then I connect with them. So it tends to be a little bit more detailed, but right now I have lots of time right now to kind of be more organic, to connect with people that way.
Yeah.
Did you folks talk about the fact that depending on who it is, if they already have a paid account, they may have actually opened themselves up to messages that they could receive an InMail as well as being able to send an InMail. So actually, when you see that gold shield, it might be a good idea to actually try to click message, because that might be a way of actually conversing with them as well, with no cost and not costing you an InMail, as an example. Not that anyone runs out of InMails necessarily. I've never seen anybody say that they've really run out of InMails, but.
Yeah, that's a good point. So open profile, if they have the gold symbol, that you may be able to InMail them for free, even if you have a free account. That's a great point, Jeff. I think that's a little bit easier to do when you're just browsing around like on content. So if you're in Sales Nav, there's going to be a green label that tells you if it's an open profile, which is really nice. But there's a big disconnect between content and Sales Nav. So it's kind of like you have to like find them, hop over to Sales Nav, and there's so many clicks, it's just annoying. So it's easier in that situation to just push message and see what's there. Yeah, but absolutely. That's a good point. Any other pre-connect engagement stuff? Jared, I feel like what you guys do really high quality, do a good job, smaller lists, quality, not quantity. You have any insight here?
Yeah, we target very highly because we have less people that we can target. So we have to pre-pump them first. And we do first professional stalking always. And then we go over to the send. Just basically what you're describing right now.
Do you, Jared, I mean, if you can't give away your secret sauce, I totally get that. But do you all like save that information to a contact profile for them before you start LinkedIn engagement so that you bring it all in together, or is that just too much?
Yeah, basically is the information that the companies have. It's too random, and you have to vet that much. We start basically from LinkedIn and start collecting profiles there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some really neat data enrichment softwares that are coming out now it's like you push a button and it'll grab the person's info, the company info, and kind of just bring it all into one place. I feel like right now, if your focus is, like if your wheelhouse is LinkedIn B2B sales, I feel like it's not quite worth it yet, but it might be soon. If you've ever messed with any of that stuff. Like Mike with Zap Info, it's like Zap Info with Eric Jakewith. It's nice to grab people's info out of LinkedIn and then they'll enrich it. But I could see it almost like a reverse process being helpful where you're on their profile, you enrich it, and then you look at that info to be able to say something that like is really personalized for them without having to like dig around a lot yourself. So it's almost more like a recruiting tool.
That's why I use Facebook, Isaac. I take their name, I go off onto Facebook, I look at their timeline on Facebook and see if I can find anything that's current and relevant. It depends on what their settings are and stuff, but in half the cases I find some relevant piece of information, and I don't talk to them on Facebook at all. I'm just using it as a lookup over on LinkedIn to be more relevant. They share more of their life story, what's going on with them. You'd know if they're unemployed or if they were in a car accident or whatever.
Yeah. And so Facebook is one good thing. There's also some other, there was a gentleman that shared a couple websites a while back. I forget what they were, but it'll pull in a bunch of info about the company, like if they've hired, and like all kinds of stuff about the company. So if you're worried about people being overstocked because of Facebook, I feel like a nice, neutral, professional place is to be able to get company info that is pertinent to their role at the company. That's probably a good talking point too, as well. But like I said, I feel like those data enrichment services are getting there, but not quite awesome yet.
So does anyone use Pipedrive?
Yeah.
Okay. So Pipedrive enhances as well. So you get smart data. So I enhance the data with Zap Info, and then it goes on off right straight into Pipedrive, and I do the smart data on the person and the smart data on the company. I get more data than I can deal with, quite frankly. But it's not just push a couple buttons and it comes right to you.
Cool. Very cool.
Wasn't this stuff supposed to be integrated into like Office 365 in some form or another? I don't think any of that's really ever happened, has it? I mean, to get all of that information to kind of in one system where you already are in the first place, as opposed to having to buy or use another tool.
I don't know, Jeff. I do know that I do know that SalesNav has been adding features specifically related to what we're talking about. If you have saved the account and if you've saved the lead, they'll also pull from some data resources outside of LinkedIn. Like there's even on the account search, there's a Fortune whatever. And I did a support check because I was like, how do you get that info? It's not even on their company page. And they said, well, we crawl other data sources. And then same thing in the news and stuff. So they do pull in some info from other places, but I haven't seen anything amazing in that kind of integration. And honestly, I don't think that they'll ever have everything. There's too much opportunity in the world to have data somewhere else. But I would love for it to I would love to be able to push a button on LinkedIn. Kind of that's what I would love is to be able to push a button while I'm on LinkedIn, pull it all in there, and then while I'm sending the connection request, since that's kind of like where we are here, is sending the connection request, to be able to easily find common ground, easily find something that they care about, that we both care about. But anyways. All right, cool. Good thoughts, good talk. So on the connection request message, we usually do combo of, it depends, but common ground, I usually put it into 3 buckets, right? Common ground, the obvious value in being connected with you, or compliment. I feel like most of the time, if you're going to send a connection request, it kind of fits into those 3 categories. Anybody else have any strategies there?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of what you said, Isaac. Did you say about, in terms of common ground, just being common connections?
Any kind of common ground. It could be in the same town, same university,
Right. Okay.
same passions. I feel like people want to be around people like themselves.
Yeah. That was where I was going with that. It's amazing to me sometimes when I go out there and see somebody and look at their profile, how many common connections I really have with those folks.
Yeah.
It just is nuts. I mean, and they're from all over the world, which is another great thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for me personally, if I'm receiving a connection request, the common ground that really hits home for me is if we're in the same town, if we both actually know somebody, like we're genuine friends, not just connected on LinkedIn, or if like college, that kind of thing. Everything else beyond that is usually kind of just like, cool. What about you, Judy? You're out in the UK.
Yeah. So I look for common ground all the time, and when I work with quite a few people who want to work with other people that are local, so we use the same town quite a bit.
Yeah.
Same groups and things like that. I have to say I don't really do much. I don't go onto Facebook if I can possibly help it, so I don't do much of that sort of getting information from elsewhere. So I do a lot of the if they're active, I look for the activity.
Yeah.
Try and engage on that before connecting.
Yep. Do you feel like, is it too creepy to do things in several passes where first you follow someone, then you engage with their content, and then you send a connection request? Is that too much, or is that okay?
I think what you said earlier is, I totally agreed with this. You're increasing your visibility and you're getting noticed, and they're getting a bit more familiar with you. I think it's warming them up if you do that, rather than just send a connection request. They can suddenly see, all right, okay, see where you come from.
I tend to remember a face and a name after I've seen it like 2 or 3 times. So I wonder if having that 2 or 3 passes before you send the connection request would just give you better acceptance rates. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe if someone's going to connect, they just will. I don't have any firm data, but it's just a suspicion.
But when people send, what I've noticed a lot recently, and I think because it's the phone, when you get sent a connection request, there are so many, and it's a bit of a bugbear at the moment of mine, that people are connecting with, you'll get a profile with virtually nothing on it and over 500 connections. And I think people aren't actually checking out who's asking them to connect. They're just going connect. Accept. So it does sort of beg the question whether it does matter. But I think if you want to sort of try and build a relationship and stuff, then you should at least try. Yeah, and it bears mentioning that if you're going to be sinking this much time into a person, the ROI needs to be there. So keep that in mind, work backwards. If you're selling something that's $500, I wouldn't sink a lot of time into doing this kind of activity. It should be probably more like at least 10,000 annual client value. So for everyone here that does LinkedIn, do you find there's a minimum annual client value that you require for it to be profitable for someone? Like, we won't work with someone if their annual client value is less than 10,000. Anybody? You guys don't have to share. Just curious if it's common. Doesn't matter. No, cool. Okay. And obviously, if you're doing it yourself, it's less because you're not paying a middleman. But I get asked that question all the time. Like, is it like, how worth it is it for my time? You know. Anyways, just curious. Okay.
Hey, have you noticed that in the past, when I would connect with someone, it would say, you may want to connect with these people because of a job title. Now, when I connect with someone, they say, connect with these people because they know people you may know, similar to Facebook. And so it's kind of seeming like they're giving away somebody's Rolodex. Is this something new? This person knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, like Facebook does. I just noticed it, as opposed to job titles.
I wouldn't think it's giving away anything because it's not something you can't find out on your own. I mean, if you're doing a search, it's going to show you people who know people who know people, et cetera. So I think it's all a part of the, I don't know how much of it, or it's totally unrelated to the content algorithm, but it's all part of the algorithm of connection in those cases. So that's actually not a bad enhancement as far as I'm concerned, because just because I've got the same title as somebody doesn't mean I want to connect with them.
Right.
Yeah. So Alfred, I'm not sure. I don't spend a ton of time on a free accounts just because we require SalesNav to work with someone. But I do know that like on SalesNav for quite a while, they have displayed like something called icebreakers where it looks for common ground, and that includes mutual connections. And then it'll also say like there are these two people that you are connected with who can introduce you to these people at this company. And so I think that they're doing that. I'm not sure how much has been available to what you'd see on a free account though. So
I don't have a free account. I have a paid account. Yeah.
Like a premium or a premium account.
Yeah,
But
I
I'll tell you
premium,
the same thing happens on a free account. So it's not necessarily just because you paid for it that you get that.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So you send the connection request. Maybe it does not get accepted. It's pending and pending and pending. I feel like you can do a replay there where you can re-engage on there. You can review the profile, you re-engage with their content. You can send them an InMail. You could send them an email. I had reservations about email. I still have reservations because I feel like it's a slippery slope to email someone if they have not connected. But if you've got a narrow audience and your email is more like a really quick conversational instead of a sales pitch, it's worked out well for us. There are still some people who are like, why did you email me? But the percentage is so incredibly small that I don't feel bad about it. So like we have, yeah, it's financially viable, but you have to have the right message, you know? Anyways, you guys, any thoughts on that? Any experience? You guys do anything there? No? No one? Okay. Well, here, I'll tell you what we're doing, what we have been doing, just in case you want to go down that route. So you can grab someone's information. We're using drop contact to get their work email and then sending it to the pro nominatives because those have like a really low bounce rate. And then we'll grab that, depending on the CRM, each CRM has a unique email automation sequence. And so like HubSpot has, if they're paying for a sales account, HubSpot sales will have, you can do an automation sequence. Pipedrive has an automation sequence where you can trigger like an email that was sent out on a new account, a new contact creation with like a label. And so we'll do that. We'll bring in a batch that we've cleaned. We feel like they're a good fit. They have not connected. And then we'll send out an email that's like, hey, sent you a message on LinkedIn. You probably didn't get it. Not a big deal. And then, but what comes next has to be awesome. And it has to be conversational, relational, just like you do on LinkedIn. Also, doing a video on that email is a great idea. So I had one of my clients record, they do video. I had them do a video of themselves at the studio and kind of just like walking around introducing themselves. And we send that on that first email. And the email is, hey, it's right now, it's, hey, if you're stuck at home because of quarantine, come visit the studios when things cool down because you probably want to get out of the house anyways. Here's what it looks like. And so it's not even like a sales pitch. We already know that they're a good targeted person. We just don't know where they're at in the sales cycle. So that's gone quite well as well. So I'm trying to remember, I think the view, like the open rate on those is usually about 50%. and the reply rate is usually about 50% or 30%, if I'm remembering right. So it's worth doing if you're, yeah, it's worth it if you can swing it. All right. You guys do anything else there y'all do before you withdraw the invite? No? No. What we've been doing too is, yep, go ahead, Jeff.
I might wait, well, you say minimum of one week. I might wait quite a bit more longer than 1 week, depending on who it is.
Yeah, totally.
Because there's, well, not nowadays, not AC, not after Corona, but before Corona, but BC before Corona, there could have been a whole month that they didn't even get on LinkedIn, depending on who it is. So.
Yep. Yeah. And honestly, when we're sending that email and we preface it like, hey, our expectations are not everyone's on LinkedIn all the time. A lot of people will reply and say, you're right, I'm never on there, man. And I mean, we've been doing LinkedIn for years, and I'm thinking to myself, how many conversations that could have turned into a sale have I missed because I was just doing one channel? Stupid Isaac. And now a couple of years from now, I'm going to be saying the same thing to myself about something else. But yeah, it's you got to do it right though. It's just like with all sales communication, it has to be done right. Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, I agree, Jeff. Minimum 1 week. What we've been doing is 3 weeks. And then we're breaking our activity down into lists like of the weeks of the year. So like this is, I think, week 23. And then once somebody is in like week 19, we'll go through that list. We know who's connected, we know who hasn't, and then we'll tag everyone that we've put them through that sequence. And then if we're going to re-prospect them later, we have the information on LinkedIn because the tags are there. So we might create a list, and then someone might get brought back in, and I just have to look at those tags in that list and say, oh, shoot, we've already invited these people to connect. Let's do it again, or let's not, you know. So whatever. Okay, bunny trails. Any other secret sauce ideas, strategies before you withdraw the invitation?
I've got a question, and it's simple, but still I'm just thinking about it through the last weeks. And where do you send your invitation to the ordinary like LinkedIn inbox or to the SalesNav inbox? Yeah, I know the difference and the different message that they receive, but what's the best way which works for you?
So Alia, I think that you'll find people on both sides of the fence there. Mm-hmm. And so, and I'll tell you my opinion. It's just an opinion. I think there are pros and cons to both. So I prefer to use the SalesNav inbox. So if you have SalesNav, send the invite from SalesNav. The thread goes to SalesNav unless they reply to your connection request, and then it goes to normal LinkedIn, and then you have to deal with that. It's a pain in the butt. But I prefer SalesNav inbox for like 2 or 3 reasons. Number one is the email communication that happens to the recipient on a normal connection request and a normal message gets treated like an InMail. So they're actually emailed the message. So you don't have to rely on them coming to LinkedIn to view what you said.
That's
so I feel like that's a really big deal there. Yeah. So if you send a message from the normal LinkedIn inbox, it says view message. The email does. If you send it from SalesNav, it says, here's the person, all about them, and here's the message. That also means, though, that you have to really rock your message because you can't lean on curiosity to get the view, you know? So that's one reason. Another reason is if you're using lists and tags, it makes it really easy to just quickly send a bunch of messages because you can just like view the list, click message, it pops it open, and you can just find a group where if you're going to do something like a broadcast where it's a similar message or maybe slightly changed, you can quickly get them in search based off of tags and lists and then just message them really quickly there. That's why I prefer. People that prefer the normal LinkedIn inbox would say, and these are totally valid points, if you cancel SalesNav, you lose the inbox history. So that's a con there. The normal LinkedIn inbox lasts forever, regardless of what kind of subscription you have. if you're using automation tools that are cloud-based, usually they do the messaging in the normal LinkedIn inbox. I'm not sure why. Maybe it has to do with the API. And there's also more features that you can do in messaging in the normal LinkedIn inbox, like embedding a video, GIFs, however you say it. There's just more that you can do there as well. So there are pros and cons to both. Anybody else? Sorry, I rambled there. Anybody else have any thoughts on preferences?
Yeah, one feature that's also pretty good on the normal one is that you can see who viewed your message actually.
Yes.
Their face, that they've watched the message. And on
read receipts. Yep.
It's shadily not there.
Yes, I would be surprised if they didn't bring it in eventually, unless they want to like protect people. I don't know, but yes, that's a big one, Jerry, is read receipts. Yeah. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Mike, Jeff, Alfred?
That's a good list.
Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah,
also,
totally.
one more question. Did you have those bugs with confirmed connections? I just see today that like people confirm connections and I still see them as second or third degree connection, but the message appears in my inbox.
Yes. So, were you here when we in the very beginning?
No,
Okay.
sorry.
So no, it's not a big deal because there was a bug. I think it was a bug that's happened. I had 2 people message me last night freaking out because they were thinking maybe they got put in the penalty box. But I think what you just described was a yesterday bug. And so one guy had sent a message to support and they're like, yeah, we know about it. It'll get fixed. I don't know if you need to contact support or if it'll just get resolved on its own. I'd say give it a day, and if it's still happening, do you have a free account or SalesNav?
SalesNav.
So I would do the support chat during business hours because it's really fast. I would do that if it doesn't get resolved. But yeah, I think that was a bug, a yesterday bug.
And if you hit refresh, sometimes someone shows a second connection after they've accepted mine, and I'm like, why are they still a second connection? Hitting refresh or logging out and logging back in, it will change their status because it's
sometimes. That's right.
Yeah,
that's a good point. By the way, those of you folks, I think that I'm having another of my friends investigate this for me, but the SalesNav chat bit is really, really good. I agree with you, Isaac. But did you also know that, again, this is something that I've never seen ever before, is that there's also a toll-free number that is associated, I believe, with some of that as well. Do you guys know that toll-free number?
No, I've never seen it.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'll grab something and I'll put it in the chat. Okay?
Cool.
Because I just got this from a friend, and it's actually an 855 number that you can actually call LinkedIn.
Wow.
What a concept. You can actually call customer support for LinkedIn.
That's crazy.
It's a newfangled thing. But anyway, I'll be back in a minute.
That's great, Jeff. That's good to know. I've never even heard of that. I've personally also used the Twitter support. It sent people with a free account to Twitter support, and they're really fast there. They've got a great reputation. It's like the one place where LinkedIn has a shining, bright star reputation for customer service is on their Twitter help, just so everyone knows. Okay. So you send the connection request. If somebody accepts, you could add them to CRM then if you're doing that process. We're more adding them to CRM later because of keeping the data fresh. Unless you're maybe doing an email from the CRM, that kind of thing. Pre-message engagement. So maybe someone accepts to connect before you send them the message. There's some things you could do. Similar kind of stuff, right? So they accept to connect. I like to send the message from the profile just to remind myself who they are, maybe see the recent activity, trigger a profile view notification. Maybe you want to comment on some of their stuff before you send that first message. Any other pre-message engagement things you guys do? I feel like it's kind of just always the same stuff. Yeah. What we usually do is, I don't like assuming that someone is a lead. Like I don't like assuming that the person is the right decision maker. I don't like assuming that the company is ready to buy if you're in B2B sales. I prefer to just ask. And then what we find is we track where people are at with tags and lists. We find that about 5%, if you have a really targeted network, it seems like across the board, about 5% of your network is like end of sales cycle, ready to buy. That's what we usually find, is about 5% of everyone. So if you exclude people who don't use messaging, so just like active people, it seems more like about 10%. And so I don't want to waste the 90% of people who aren't ready to buy now. I would rather figure out where they are so that I can make a plan to stay top of mind with them as their account goes through the buyer's journey. And then if I can keep track of that with notes and tags and in my CRM, what that helps me do is just stay top of mind with people throughout time quickly and easily. And so if you're, I don't know if you're like looking at this, QUAD is just an acronym that we use for question, answer, discussion. So instead of giving someone a sales pitch, be an interviewer, ask them a question. So that's kind of like a really high level for what we would do for if they're replying and messaging, what the messaging strategy looks like, what the top of mind strategy looks like. Top of mind, we might do like a holiday message. We might create some material that they like and share it with them. Especially if it's relevant to a specific segment of your network, you know. Also, Alia, where this helps also is people get different jobs. Sorry, related to the sales nav messaging thing, people get different job, they'll update their profile, and you can keep track of people who have replied, and then just grab that list of people who have replied, maybe narrow it down by title, current title, and then send them that information, and you know it's highly targeted. Anyways, if someone's not actually here, any other messaging strategies, ideas, tips, top of mind that you guys do? In the news is a good one, if someone's mentioned in the news. I feel like this is where like 90% of our time is focused. Anybody have any thoughts here? No thought, nothing?
Well, a lot of times what I'll use, and there's a couple of different schools of thought here, but I actually will use an endorsement of a skill to keep top of mind as well.
Yeah.
If I can justify it by seeing that they've done that, whatever the skill might be, in their content, I don't feel so bad about, even though they might be a new connection, doing something with that. But there's another one of those things that matters to me as well. I can also look at their endorsements to stay top of mind, endorse them for something that someone that I already know, like, and trust has endorsed them for before. So if it's good enough for, if it's good enough for him or her, it's good enough for me as well. So, those kind of things are definitely ways that I stay top of mind, but most of the top of mind is really just interaction, engagement on content.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Same thing here. If you are using a lead list in SalesNav, so that means you have saved a person. And if you keep people who have replied saved, and you keep people who have converted to your sales funnel saved, you can actually go into SalesNav and view recent shares of just those. That it's the whole saved bucket. You can't do it per list right now, but I feel like that really helps to be narrow with who you engage with. Otherwise, you have to either like view the profiles of people who you know are a good fit, or hope that the newsfeed gives you their stuff, or bookmark people. I don't know. It's a bit cumbersome, but if you're able to save those active people, that top of mind activity is a bit easier. Yeah, for sure. Engaging with content.
Where do you get that list of your saved contacts? Is that in Sales Navigator or in regular LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's in Sales Nav, Eric, and it's not in normal LinkedIn. So do you have Sales Nav?
Yep.
Okay, so when you save, you can save an account, which is a company. You can save a lead, which is a person. You save a person. If you just save them, they go to like one big bucket called your saved leads. You can break it down into individual lists, and then on your Sales Nav homepage, you can go to leads on the top right corner, drop down for notifications, and when it says like lead shares or whatever, that's going to be the people that you've saved.
Oh, all alerts. I gotcha. I have it set to all alerts. Got it. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, and also that reminds me, I think there are notification settings on your Sales Nav account. and you need to turn those all on if you want to be able to toggle them from the homepage. Okay, anyways, moving on. What do you guys do if someone does not reply to messaging? Actually, sorry, one thing there. I've observed, it seems like people either reply like right away or after about the third or fourth message, no matter how long it is. You can do long messages, short, like Twitter length messages. I feel like they're either going to reply right away or it's always about that third, fourth time. Do you guys, have you noticed that at all? And I feel like, I don't even feel like it's a matter of are you pestering them or not. It just, I don't know. It just happens. Any other, you guys encountered that at all? Mike? Jer?
Yeah. Normally I
send additional
messages. I can find that people are replying, and most around the 5. And the longer the messages are right now, before they were, if they were short, they would reply earlier because they're always replying on the mobile and they didn't have time. Now, when we send a longer message, they reply with a longer message too.
Oh, that's interesting. It's like you've taken the time, and if it's well written and if they feel like you actually wrote it to them, they'll take the time.
Especially after the third mail, you've built up some guilt with them, so they're replying.
It's totally true. There's almost like guilt-based reciprocity. That should be I'm actually going to write that down. Hang on. Guilt-based reciprocity.
So now you have a 2-minute video topic, Isaac.
Yes. Well, it's more like people, I feel like that's almost like healthy because you're giving and giving and giving. As long as you're bringing value, making it about them, eventually they feel like they need to do something back, but it's not because you're being malicious. You're just being so darn nice and generous.
Hey, Mike, I have a question for you. You started video messaging last week, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Have you seen a difference in response? Are people quicker to respond with a video, or what have you noticed?
Admittedly not. I thought I would have seen more response from it than I did. I sent 20 out and I got 5 calls, but I could have sent 20 very personal messages as well and gotten five calls out of it. I thought it would have been more useful. I enjoy it very much, and I'm going to stick with it, because the sample size is kind of small. Until I get 100 up there, I don't have a really good sample size. But I put it in a cradle. So I set it in a cradle, and I got my thumb right down there so I know when to start and stop. So I'm looking at it at the beginning, and I start and stop, so I don't have to look down and up. I've had people do it back to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of
real. Yeah.
How long is your message? Are you keeping it 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes?
Yeah,
What's
roughly.
your duration?
Yep. I'm big on it still. It's just my sample size is kind of small. And
but how long? Is it a 30 seconds?
28 was the last one, 25 to 35. I don't think any of them been more than 45.
I'm pretty sure there's a limit, and you can't do more than 2 minutes anyway. I think there's a limit to 2 minutes worth of video when you're doing that.
Alfred knows. Didn't you hit that?
Yeah, if it's a message to someone that you know, it's a 4 minute. Because I've tried sending Isaac an educational video, and 4 minutes was the max, so I had to break it. I had to chunk it into smaller sections.
For the reply rates for video, Mike, I've experienced similar reply. It feels like if somebody's going to reply, the actual reply rate is comparable when you're sending a video to versus other like a text or whatever. But I feel like what the difference is there is if somebody does reply, you've kind of hopped ahead in how much they feel like they know you and trust you, because they've heard your voice and your body language, that kind of thing.
I'm only doing this with people I already know, like, and trust already. So I'm not doing this with any cold people. So these folks have already seen me in person, know my voice and stuff. That's a little bit different audience. I'm gonna expand upon that, and I think it's gonna be fruitful. I do.
Yeah.
I think that a good point of what you said before, if you're doing 2-3 messages, you may not see something till the third message. One of the reasons you might want to make sure of is that you use this as an alternative sending the same thing 3 times is going to get the same response all 3 times. So as an alternative,
Sending
using
3
maybe
different
audio
messages,
and
not
or
the
video
same
as
message.
a different way of saying it.
We queue up our clients with a connection request, a welcome message, 2 content messages that point to articles, and then a call to action. It's a 5 sequence. It looks like a connection request, welcome, 2 content messages, and this. They're all different. It's not the same message. And one of them might take a westward tone and another one an eastward tone, a right brain thinking, a left brain thinking, trying to mix it up a little bit. But they're programmed in at the point of when the campaign starts. They're automated and they're canned in.
How do you handle situations like that where you have a bunch of people in sort of a funnel, but then certain people actually do reach out and connect with you on their own initiative or send you their own note or message? Do you try to filter those people out so that you don't respond to a personal response to you with?
Well, the campaigns only work with the folks that are in the campaign. I put in a list of 1,000 people, and only these 1,000 people or 2,500 people are going to be interacted with at all. They don't. The tools don't interact with people that are not put in the campaign on the list to begin with.
From a LinkedIn perspective, if you're doing messaging on LinkedIn and you have sort of a funnel of connecting, thanks for connecting, sending something else.
Yeah, with one of my tools. Yeah, with my main tool, we do that. With other tools, I'll do a follow, a visit, an endorse. I can scrape about 5 or 6 different dissimilar things into a queue. And the endorse one is a really nice one, Jeff. Jeff, I like that. I like endorsing. I always remember when someone endorses me. It took an extra click for them to do that, and I appreciate it. But being dissimilar ones, I think, are even more useful. You know, after 2 weeks, I go visit again, and then I'll do an endorsement, and then I'll do a message. Just kind of mix them up, and you can extend them on. So you can, let's add a couple more, and it'll go back to the beginning and start at the beginning and work as if there's a backlog, sort of.
Yep. You know what else? Sorry, I was going to make a comment on video. Were you about to say something else on that, Mike? Eric, are you good there? I don't want to.
Well, I thought it more of a question of, like, let's say you're going to send a group message out to people who are in some kind of a funnel, but some of those people already engaged with you personally, but they're still in your marketing funnel. Do you try to exclude those people who are more warm already? You don't want to keep going through your funnel if someone's already warm because they responded.
They get scrubbed from the tag list, so they're untagged from the target list. Mm-hmm. or within the tool, they're blacklisted within the tool if you want to do it within the tool.
Yeah, you have to just be diligent about keeping track of things on your own, because LinkedIn doesn't really do that for you.
Yeah.
I've received so many automated messages from people I know that it's like I'm waiting on them to reply to something from our actual conversation. And I get this out of the blue message. I'm like, oh, dude, come on. I like you, but really, like, so yeah, you have to just do a good job. And
you have to be a tag master.
Yeah. It all automatically takes someone out of the sequence if either party responds. If anything other than automated actions happen, they're taken out of the sequence. So you don't run into the, I sent you a note this morning and you sent me your automated marketing message this afternoon. They're opted out. They're pulled out. You can push them back in if you want, but they're taken out.
But on LinkedIn, like in email, I could see how you do that. But what about on LinkedIn? Do you have automated tools that can do that degree of recognizing those conditions and filtering based on them?
No, you have to create your targeted list. The secret is the list itself, and then the tool itself. Tools, and I'm saying I've used 4 of them. So 5 of them really. So I'm kind of summarizing all of them into one. They don't all do the exact same things, but they'll pull people out of the sequence after 30 days. They'll withdraw outbound invitations, so you don't have to go back and manual. And you can. They have a little inbox where you can reply right from within the tool from their inbox. You don't have to go to the LinkedIn or Sales Navigator inbox. You can use their color-coded tool inbox right there within the tool. Sometime if you'd like, I'd be happy to kind of show. I can show for the tools if you kind of want to see a tour of tools sometime.
Mike, do you want Mike, do you want to do guest speaker like 2 weeks from now?
Yeah,
on that?
yeah.
Because I think you're probably, it's about your turn.
If you'd like, sure. I haven't missed a meeting yet. So.
Cool. I'll shoot you a message.
Sure.
If you're up for it. Okay, cool. Pause.
Should we put a tip jar for Mike too? Or can we afford Mike?
You're gonna get a nice cross section of really good stuff when I do it here, and I think you'll really get a lot out of it. I might convert one of you or two of you.
Cool. Oh man, we're on an hour, so
FYI, I'm going to have to jump off here, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that I did put that in the chat, and everybody knows how to save the chat, right? If you don't know how to save the chat, just go to the chat and go down to the 3 dots in the lower right-hand corner, click the 3 dots, and you can save the chat, so that'll save it out there. So you got the 800 number that I talked about before.
Nice. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
I got to take off. Thanks again, guys.
All right.
See you next week, I hope.
Well, here, let's do this then. Since we're about an hour in, I think maybe just briefly chat. If someone does convert to your sales funnel, so they, throughout the course of all the stuff that you've been doing, they say yes, they're interested. It's turning into a phone call. It's turned into an email. They're in your CRM. Obviously, there's like a whole sales funnel that can go from there, depending on where they opt in. You know, what do you guys do while they're like on LinkedIn still? Sorry, the tornado siren test is going off here, and it's so distracting for me. What do you guys do to stay top of mind after someone has converted to sales funnel? You guys do anything there? No, like we'll still, anybody? So, Jared, do you get any thoughts there?
Yeah, on a regular basis, what we do when they're converted to sales funnel, we make a list out of them and we invite them to special events, special webinars. And it's not really that we want them into the webinar, but just to stay top of mind and that you're thinking about them. And afterwards, you can send them the conclusion of the webinar from, hey, these are the talking points of those. And so basically, you're again giving, so you keep them tied to you. Yeah,
that's a good process. We'll do something similar where we'll create a lead list. We'll save them to that lead list. And then we'll add them to the CRM. We'll queue up the task in the CRM for whatever the expectation is there. And then we'll, like, either the sales funnel does stuff there, like they have their normal scheduled phone calls or whatever that process is there. But LinkedIn side will still do, like, we'll still occasionally message them. We'll still maybe view their profile, interact with their content. And what we found is that a lot of times people will ghost you after they say yes on LinkedIn. So they'll say like, yes, email me your calendar. They'll say, yes, I want to do a phone call, email me. You'll hop over to your CRM, plug them in, and then they go radio silent. They ghost you. And so we do like 4 follow-ups after they convert to sales funnel if it goes cold from there. So we'll, in the CRM, we might send the email or whatever that looks like. And at the same time, we'll hop over to LinkedIn and send them a message on LinkedIn, since that's where the conversation started. So what we'll find is sometimes you send an email and they won't answer it. If you send the same thing or something similar on LinkedIn at the same time, wherever they're used to communicating with you, is a better chance. And sometimes people say, oh crap, I didn't get your email. Or some people will say, oh crap, I didn't get your LinkedIn message. So it's almost like nice to do both. And then sometimes people just straight up, they ghost you for like 6 months. And then you might wish them a happy holiday. And then they'll pick up like, I'm not going to awkwardly mention that I haven't replied to you, but PS, we're still want to do this. Can we do this? And then they'll pick it up again. So I feel like it's really important, even after someone converts to sales funnel, to stay top of mind on LinkedIn, even though that has happened. You guys do anything else like that? Nothing? All right. No need to beat a dead horse. Let's call it a day.